Bam. We back. Act 2 podcast, episode 12. A dozen. Dizam.
6 and 6.
6 and 6. Half a dozen. Make a dozen. Act 2, episode 12. Appreciate y'all out there. Comments, likes, shares, YouTube, Instagram. I appreciate it all. Again, we're just expressing ourselves, having meaningful conversation, and we glad that people tap into that. So appreciate y'all. And again, we're just gonna keep getting better, keep having better conversation, keep dropping comments and asking questions on the question board. So appreciate y'all. It's your boy Walt, host, and
Hey, it's your girl Tosh. I still haven't perfected that.
What's
cool. Up? It's Tosh. Tashi.
That's which name you want to go by?
I'm Natasha.
Natasha?
Yeah, I'm Natasha.
You like your whole name?
I like my whole name.
Your government.
Natasha.
She's gonna go by government.
It's
so
regal.
I got my baby Natasha. Co-host. I gotta go from saying guest to co-host because she ain't a guest no more.
Co-host.
She got a permanent spot and
period. You hate when I say that.
Yeah, don't do that ratchet stuff. the period stuff. Don't do that. You're a classy lady.
I am. Yeah.
But yeah, we back and how you doing?
I'm good. I'm all chocolatized.
You went to the tanning salon?
Yeah, went to the tanning salon. Went to get a little vitamin D out the country.
What's your wild woe this week?
My wow, let's see. Nothing really, that big happened. It's like my wow this week was our wonderful weekend getaway. Obviously, you can tell where we went by Mr. Rastaman, who's sitting next to me.
I'm saying, we're going to think about it.
Okay. But you know what? It was the wow because anybody who knows me, my husband more than anybody, but anybody who knows me knows how much I love the beach, the water. I'm definitely a mermaid relative somewhere. The sun, I like it when it's 100 degrees if I can be at the beach. I bet I love the sun. Sometimes I get too dark and he be like, babe, you went a little bit too far.
And she look weird. You do. You look like a weirdo. You do. You don't look right dark.
Don't say that. I don't look like myself.
Okay. You don't look like yourself. You're right.
Yeah. But it's okay. So the wow was just not the fact that we went away. Of course, I love the beach. Going away on vacation anytime is beautiful. But the whole, the essence of it, the fact that we were able to go away. We've gone on vacations 20, before this year, we've had 20 vacations. Mm-hmm. This is our first time going out of the country, international.
International walk, yeah.
So, that just knowing that my baby had that ability to do that, like that made it that much more special. And plus, we were with some people who we really love. So that it was an amazing time. It was short. He used to always be kind of against, like, I don't want to take no short vacations. We got to go for a week. And I'm like,
always from now on, week.
I'm like, a short vacation, it's just a little refresher. Like, just a little, pick me up. But now I'm on his side. Like, I think I need at least 5 days.
And damn sure can't go out the country for a weekend.
Because it was just that beautiful that you want more. So that was the wow. Just the being on vacation, but that moment, what it signified, you being able to go out of the country, that was major. And that is still like, and can I say my other wow?
Sure.
My baby got his driver's license.
I'm going to start going first because you take my wows.
Well.
Like, you have your own. Like, don't stuff happen to you during the week?
Oh, wow.
I'm just messing with you.
You's a shady motherfucker.
I'm just messing with you, baby.
Anyway, whatever. He got his license. So what? What's next?
Wow. You see what you did? Wow.
What's my woe?
Yeah, what's your woe?
So
thumbs down.
Well, no. So this is what I was thinking. Like, I don't think a whoa is always like a thumbs down. I don't think of it like always a thumbs down. It's just not like an exciting moment. It's kind of what it says, like a whoa moment in life. That it can be a thumbs down and be a sad situation, or it can just be a. For me, I'm
You're
speaking.
changing it because for this show, it's wow and woes. So what was something positive that happened? What was something negative that happened? That's the question that I'm asking.
All right, well, so I think, again, I don't know how much of a negative it is. I think over the last week, I think vacation was good for us. Over the last week, we kind of realized that, when people say check on your strong friend, it's one of those things that hit home for us, where it was like, you never really know what people go through. So check on your strong friend has more meaning to us, than it may have had
Mm-hmm.
last episode, and that was just something that really hit home. So that's why I say it wasn't necessarily a negative, but it was something that hit home for us. It seems like this is another occasion where stuff is a common conversation, and it comes to our front door. So that was just the whoa moment, where it was like, whoa, we're blessed, we're grateful, we don't take anything for granted, and check on your strong friend has more meaning to us now than it may have 2 weeks ago. So that was all.
Your family. Um, my wow was I got my license.
Oh,
Yeah,
go
I
boo!
got my license. It's been a long time. Never had a license. Um, so yeah, that's my wow. Is that I can't believe um, that I'm legit and I got a license.
Yes.
So that's cool. It's a funny feeling because I never had the feeling before. You know that, like the struggle. So just to be able to identify myself, you know, 7 times over is a blessing in itself. So that's my wow. My woe is that I got a couple of them. The stuff that hit home for us and checking on your family, checking on your friends, came to the forefront this week, and we had to be strong and be there for some people that we love, and like you said, that was an eye opener for us. So that's one thing. And then my man at work, big fella, he sent his family down to Florida with his mom, with her mom, and I don't think she's getting any better, but she ain't gotten any worse. And you know, I'm thinking about him, like you talking about, check on your friends and your family. Like we're not like brothers, but still, I need to check on him because he alone now. And
Yeah.
he don't have his kids, he don't have his girl, and we had a long talk today, and just want to reach out to him and just make sure he all right because he don't have nobody, and everybody needs somebody.
Yeah.
So that's just it. This episode we're gonna talk about in a broad sense. It's just mental health and what is it? What's the signs? Anxiety, depression, all those things. Like, what's your thoughts on those? And just how to deal with it. And just before we go and start on that, like, what's some just to do a mental check on you? Like, what's your status if you had to rate from 1 to 10? What's your mental status right now?
So 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest.
Mm-hmm.
I was
10 being you good and it's the highest, and 1 being you damn near dead.
sheesh. I would say I'm probably at probably a 7.5, 8. I would say a good 8.
A good 8.
Yeah.
1 out of 9.
Work stuff. With work stuff, it's a lot going on. It's one of those things where it's like you do a good job, and it's not like you're punished, but because you do a good job, then you get more of a job. And I'm just preparing to take on a heavy load, and I realized that. And this might, I was kind of leery. I didn't know how this episode was going to go today because, I wasn't feeling that good. But I am realizing stress manifests itself in me it bothers my stomach too. Like, you know, I have stomach issues and stuff, blah 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 blah. But stress manifests is stuff in that what
Manifests itself in your
manifest.
belly.
Yeah, where like when I get all worked up and
Excuse
worried
me.
and stressed and a lot that I take on, it manifests this way there. I get my stomach gets upset. So I think that, you know, I
Is it
have
butterflies?
no, it's not butterflies. It's like that indigestion feeling. Which is weird. I'm gonna look that up and see, like, is that something common? But I noticed that about myself because you know what, this is weird. A lot of times, you know, after I get off work, you know, my stomach may be bothering me, and I kind of attribute it to other things. But I just, you know me, I like to pay attention to patterns and what happens to me and when it happens. And what I realize is Fridays most of the time when I get off, I feel good. And I think it's
A
meant.
trillion other people do too.
I mean, I know, but I mean, like, I feel good in the sense that my stomach don't bother me. You know, Saturdays, you know, if I eat the wrong thing, then it may. But I really am picking up on a pattern, so I think that's one of the ways that stress manifests itself in me. So that's why I say an 8, not a 9. You know, we're good. You know, I'm grateful of that. We're healthy. Our families are you know, for the most part, healthy. You know, no issues going on there. Financially, we're stable. You know, we're trying to do some renovations or whatever remodeling that we're doing. So I guess that takes a part of from being a 9 too, because that's always a stressful thing. Other things that we want to do and just figuring out how to do the things you want to do in terms of being adults and being responsible and home remodeling, but we want to get out the house and have fun too.
Right.
So it's like, let's get these projects done, but I also like, let's get on a plane, and you can't do both. So that's why I say an 8, which I feel like an 8 is a good place.
It is a good place.
Yeah.
I was just asking why not a 9.
Yeah, I feel like 8 is a good place, but I think that's where I would probably measure myself at today, at this moment, because
Okay.
you know that it can fluctuate, you know. But at this moment, I feel like a good 8.
All right.
What about you?
Mental status right now, I could probably be at a solid 8, 9. I feel good.
What was take away from it being a 10?
I'm not perfect.
Okay.
Just not perfect. Yeah, that's it. Nothing else. I ain't worried about nothing. I ain't stressed about nothing. No bullshit, no drama. So. Yeah.
Why you look like you about to get up and go somewhere?
No, I just sat up.
Oh, okay.
Back up off me.
I'm sorry.
So yeah. So mental health, anxiety, depression, panic attacks, psychiatric meds. What's your thoughts about one's mental health?
So I think those things that you mentioned are just the stereotypical things that people think about when they think of mental health, but I think that's like at the extreme end. There's so many other things that play into mental health that people just attribute to being normal everyday emotions, and a lot of times we ignore them or we just accept it as that's just the norm until, and by us not you know, we feel stuff every day. That's a part of being a human. So it's not saying every little thing you feel, I gotta assess my mental health in every moment. But I do think that we as humans, and I'm gonna speak as black women, I think we have this superwoman, you know, black girl magic. I'm strong, put my cape on, I can handle it. And we talked about this in the previous episode. But I think that can be detrimental to our health because it makes us afraid to look weak, or we think that we'll look weak by admitting that we can't handle something. It's too much. The load is too heavy. We need help. So I think those things that you mentioned are like the most visible signs or the most visible results where, like, you know, you're physically where your mental health where your mental health is presenting itself in a physical way. But I think far too often we deal with mental health stuff that we hide and we cover up, and eventually it manifests itself in other ways where you may have breakdowns, or you may need medication, or you may require hospitalization, or you may require, a little therapy is good for everybody, I
Right,
think.
across the
But you may
board.
require some sort of, and I'm speaking from my work life, but you may need IOP, which is intensive outpatient therapy,
Mm-hmm.
where you don't just go to a therapist for an hour every week or every 2 weeks. You go to outpatient therapy 4 hours a day every day. Like, you go home every day, so
Mm-hmm.
you're not admitted in a facility, but you know what I mean. So that's where I think we have to be more aware. When we say mental health isn't just a negative thing.
Right.
It's good mental health as well. So we have to be more aware of what our mental health is on a day by day basis.
Is it something that we do to ourselves? Playing devil's advocate a little bit, because you just talked about black women and always wanting to take on stuff and be strong and have a hand in this, have a hand in that, have a hand in this, have a hand in that, have your own shit to deal with, and you want to be strong and a friend and a sister and a aunt and a cousin to so many other people. Do some people not subconsciously but inadvertently do that to themselves?
In some ways, yes. Now, I don't want to in any way disregard those people where there may be some type of chemical imbalance or some sort of hereditary trait.
We're
When
not talking about that now. We're just
I
talking
know,
about,
but that's
okay.
still mental health. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
but
So, of course, there are those people who have issues that they don't. But yes, I do think that, not that we do it to ourselves, we allow it to happen to us, if that makes sense. So we're not physically doing it, but we're allowing it to happen because, like, here's an example. One of my friends, Crystal, was saying, don't be afraid. She had, like, posted something like, don't be afraid to ask for help. Like, she was going on vacation. She's like, before we left, I knew I had a lot to do, and I had a cleaning woman come and clean my house. So I know when we come back, I'm coming home to a clean house, because that wasn't something that I wanted to take on at that time, whatever else was going on. So I think that's one of those things where you have someone like, I ain't let nobody come clean my house, but you really don't have time to do it, or you don't have the capacity in your day. And it would be a big help
it would be a smart thing to do.
and it would be a big help, where you have people that maybe feel like, and I'm just throwing this out there, like, they're opposed to using, like, those online food shopping things.
Mm-hmm.
But when you think about somebody who might have, you know 3 kids, 2 jobs, maybe a husband, maybe a pet, maybe a sick family member that they're caring for. And it's like, you know what? If you could order these groceries online and that can help you, then why not? But we're just so used to being that woman that I go to the market, I wash the laundry, I fold the laundry, I cook the food, I clean the bathroom, I take care of my kids, I take care of my husband, and we wear that as a badge of honor. But sometimes those badges of honors weigh us down. But we look at it like, I got an S on my chest, but that S can become heavy, and we have not been conditioned to ask for help.
Right.
We have not been conditioned to accept help. We've been conditioned to want to do it all, because it makes us feel good that, yeah, I'm holding it down.
It's hard to understand um, the whole black girl thing, because obviously I'm not a black girl, but I empathize with the struggle, because obviously I'm married to a black woman. I have all black women in my family, so I know how excuse me, society looks at you, and I know the weight that's on your shoulders a lot of the times. What I don't get is that a lot of the black women around me are smart and educated, and I understand you're not conditioned to ask for help or accept help, but if you're smart enough to know that you might need help, or you might have seen something like this facilitate itself before, then, like, don't you recognize that, like, even as a man, like a black man, like, I recognize, and just speaking from my personal experience, I recognize when, I had bouts of depression and anxiety, and I realized when it was going awry, and that I need help and things like that. So what's the pressures of a black man against the pressures of a black woman, where you guys can't ask for help or don't? Is that the thing? You know you need help and you don't ask for it, or you you just can, like, are you signing up for something, like, and I don't mean to word it like this, but like, are you built for it or not?
Well, it's not. So the thing is this, it's circumstantial.
Right.
Yeah, you may be built for it in one season of your life, and the next season of your life you may not be.
Right.
So it's one of those things, and being able to adjust, but it's still we want to, that adjustment may look different for different people. So an adjustment for somebody might be like, you know what, I'm gonna get a nanny, or I'm gonna get a cleaning person. And the adjustment for another person might be like, I'm gonna just start going to bed earlier so I can have more time. Like, the adjustment looks different, but it's hard to accept. It's just something that's hard to accept. Like, thinking of you as a black man, let's say your money not right, and you really need some help. How? Because I think more so for a woman, our badge of honor comes in taking care of our family, from an emotional and physical standpoint. From a man, it comes from taking care of your family financially. If you couldn't do it, how much would it take for you to ask somebody for help? Or,
but for me,
let me finish. Or would you think to yourself, I'm gonna get another job, or I'm gonna find another way to make it work, before you ask for help? And we're talking about two different things, but it can bring about it can manifest the same stress and the same anxiety when you feel like you're not able to uphold your responsibility as a man in terms of finances. And a woman may feel like they're not able to uphold their responsibility as a woman in terms of taking care of their family.
I think it's apples and oranges, because I think for a man, providing is tangible. It's something that you can literally put your hands on and change or go do. Pride gets in the way of that. But you can, just because you had a job or you got fired from a job, you can go get any menial job to subsidize your income, if you set your pride aside.
I think for women it's pride too.
Okay.
You don't want to admit that you got another woman coming to clean your house.
Okay, but so I mean, it's a pride thing for a man, but I'm just saying, providing is tangible. Emotional support isn't. So you can get like way too much on your shoulders, and you can't do anything about that. It's like you drain yourself out, and like, what do you expect is all I'm saying. Like, we're human beings. You only can take so much. You, me, anybody else. So why put all that pressure on yourself when you know the end result is you breaking?
Well, because you don't know that. You want to be strong enough. You think you're going to be strong enough. You're not thinking that you're going to break down, because not everybody does.
Right.
And again, at some points, life ebbs and flows. So at some points you are able to handle it. At other points
you're talking about.
Yeah, at other points you may not be. But even though you say it's apples and oranges, I think it's more closely related than you think, because it comes a pride thing as well. Because when you're saying emotional support, the emotional support is needed in order for you to continue to provide those tangible things that we talked about. Taking care of your family, cooking for them, shopping for them, cleaning your house, being a wife. Like, those
I don't look at that as emotional support, though. That's what's apples and oranges. The fact that if you provide for somebody, you can go out and do that.
No, you were saying asking for help with the things that you need to do.
Right, but I said apples and oranges was you being a provider, and then you provide emotional support. That's two different things. That's one thing you can actually touch, and that's one thing you can't touch. But I never
said emotional support. You said emotional support. I said taking care of your family.
Emotionally.
No,
taking... You did. You said for a woman it's an emotional thing. For a man it's providing. Okay,
well maybe I misspoke, because I was saying taking care of your family, taking care of your husband, your children.
But that's not
cooking,
what you said.
Cleaning.
Rewind the tape. You said...
Okay, we're not
said that a woman has an emotional bond to take care of her family. And all I said is that's draining. And for a man, you said it's financial. So one is tangible, one is not.
So that's not what I meant. Let's correct it. So what I was saying is, as a woman, just like for you, it's important to take care of your family financially. For a woman, it's important for us to take care of our family, and whether the family,
obviously,
whether the family is just a husband or a husband and kids, a husband and a pet,
whatever,
whatever, that's our responsibility. So the same pride that you have when you may not be able to hold up your end of the bargain financially, we have the same pride when we may not be able to hold up our bargain in doing the things that we need to do.
Right.
So that's what I mean why I feel like it's comparable, because just like it's hard for a man to ask for help, you're going to feel like I'm going to step it up. And I'm not talking about losing your job and you finding another job. What if you got a job but it's just not making ends meet? You're not about to like make a phone call and be like, yo, can you help me with the mortgage this month? Like, I'm really having a hard time.
But you're going to extreme circumstances though, baby. Because what define what help is, because as a man you could put a call in and say, yo, is anything open over there for me to work? Yo, do you have a job over there? That's asking for help. So define what help is. It don't have to be asking for money or saying, yo, can I have a handout? You could just be making a call to say, yo, do y'all have work over there? Is this something I can do to earn money? That's asking for help.
But what I'm saying is, if you have a job, right? You have a full-time job and it's not making ends meet, and then you're going to take on another job, that's adding more pressure to yourself, more stress to yourself, less sleep for yourself, more wear and tear on your body for yourself. So as a man, you're going to look to take on more to be able to help you make ends meet. As a woman, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to say, how can we buckle up to do the things that we need to do, because of the same reason, because of pride. We don't want to accept the fact that we can't do it all. And I'm not saying all the time. Exactly. And I'm not saying it's a good thing, because sometimes you have to say, you know what, I can't do this today, or I need help doing this. Or if you got kids, do you mind taking the kids? I need a break. Or you know what, I'm just gonna wash 5 pairs of pants for you to wear for this week, but I don't have the bandwidth to do a whole bunch of laundry and fold them. Or can you help me fold the laundry together? Because you don't fold. I mean,
you're using my word bandwidth
because I like the word.
Okay, go ahead.
Because typically it's not your responsibility to fold the clothes, but sometimes it's late at night, and how often do I never ask you to help me fold the clothes? It'll be like, let me hurry up and get it done, or babe, I'm gonna put this aside, but I'm gonna get it done for tomorrow, but I'm gonna make sure you got what you need for the morning, because of just that not wanting to be like, I just can't get it done. As a woman, we have the same pride in a different capacity as a man. So yes, it would behoove us to take a step back, assess our mental state, and help ourselves. That's self-care, to be able to say, I can't do it. But y'all can't admit that. It's a pride thing, because it's that stereotypical black girl magic, wearing that S on your chest, and I'm holding it down for my family. Sometimes holding it down weighs you down, and that's hard to accept, because you want to feel like you can do it, and you don't know that it's breaking you down, or you don't know that it's too much until it's too much. Unfortunately, in a lot of cases, some people, fortunately and maybe if it happens, then you are more aware, but a lot of times it's kind of like it has to hit you, and then you become aware, and then you hopefully do things differently.
Right. I understand what you're saying. I disagree. I have my opinion about what we just was talking about, but I understand what you're saying.
What do you disagree about?
That sometimes that men and women, they do it to themselves.
I mean, that I think it's semantics. You say you do it to you're doing it to yourself. I say you're allowing it to happen.
And this comes from personal experience. Okay, so as a black man in my situation, like you know that struggle, and not being able to identify myself, or just having the last 23 years be the way that it was. It's like you realize, you think that you're strong. I agree with you. You think that you're strong. You think that you can handle stuff. You think that you can ride out stuff. But there comes a point where, and this is just as a man, that you don't feel like a man no more. You don't feel like you're whole no more. You actually feel like you're breaking down. So in that aspect, for me, it made me feel like, okay, I'm waking up every day and not feeling like I am who I am. Like my situation is bombarding my bandwidth. So for me, it was like, okay, I recognize that I'm shattering here. So I have to do something about this because, and is it just the way I think? Because you know how I think with my tough love thing, but is it just like once I recognize that, it automatically makes my mind think, okay, how can I fix this? And everything is on the table, whether it be therapy, medication, not that I'm on any, I've never been, but I'm just saying everything's on the table for me. Like, how can I get better? Because I see myself breaking down, crashing. So, whatever is going on, the tangible things that I can touch, let me fix those first. And then, after all that's done, like, there's only two courses to happen. Either I'm going to shatter and break, or I'm going to fix myself. So
Okay.
it's like I'm grown enough, I'm old enough to know, and the feeling itself of walking around, pieces falling off you breaking, you can't think straight, you it starts to affect you physically. Like those things are signs for me. It was for me when I started to have those signs of just wanting to cry sometime or being angry all the time or my anxiety being through the roof. It was like, okay, if this escalates, then I'm going to be here. So do something about this because I don't want to be there. You know what I'm saying? And that's as a black man, like for me that wasn't pride. It was
But I
like,
think,
okay, that's my mental, like that's something that I care about. Like fuck pride, like that shit can go out the window because I'm telling you how I felt.
I
So
understand
fuck
that.
pride, that goes out the window because I care more about my mental space than me walking around trying to be something that I'm not.
So I think it's difficult for you to compare your situation to other people who may deal with things because your situation was pinpointed. You knew what was the root cause of, your of the feelings that you were having.
Right.
And at the same time, no, we know,
Do
and
people not know the root cause of why they have stuff?
sometimes
Whether it be
no, you
okay, but
don't.
I'm speaking for the people who do because if you don't, you don't. But if you do,
Well, I think that's more often than not you don't because it's life that it's okay. Let me go back to you. You knew the root cause.
mm-hmm.
It wasn't like, I mean, yeah, our relationship, we had our ups and downs just like anybody else. For the most part it was up. So it wasn't our relationship that was causing those issues for you. Our, thank God financially we've always had great jobs. So it wasn't our money. Like so everything in your life was working in coordination and was that piece
Mm-hmm.
that was that was broken for you. And we know, being completely transparent, how many years I remember coming home and like I don't want to get emotional, but like I remember those dark days of like me coming home and you sitting in the dark for days. Like it'll be like, all right, this a bad day. All right, this a bad 2 days. All right, this a bad week. Then it'd be like, all right, I gotta, let's turn the lights on. Like, me coming home from work and I know our part of our schedules was off. So I come home like, how long has he been sitting here just like and I could tell because you know how like when they say somebody is like sinking, like physically, your posture, everything, like so it wasn't
A
like
sunken place.
exactly, like not in a funny way, but you definitely were in a sunken place. But that was for a few years before 2020 hit and you thought to make that decision. Now we know it transpired and it got to a really bad place where you were having really bad thoughts, but it it gradually, so it wasn't like the first day, the first week, the first month, the first year that you were in that sunken place that you thought, let me take action
I'm
to
not talking about
change.
the time frame. I'm talking about when I recognized it. I'm not
But
talking
that's
about
what I'm
anybody's time frame. I'm just talking about when you recognize that it's physically hurting me.
okay, but
I'm breaking down over stuff like this.
so yeah, so in that case, then yeah, it takes, and that time frame can look different for people, and they do hopefully decide to get help. So to the other question you asked, your situation was pinpointed. A lot of times in life you don't know. Like, we know, for myself and me going through, bouts of depression, it was very specific to fertility issues. And like, we know um the repercussions, or how that would, how,
Ramifications.
yeah, the ramifications, and how that was manifesting itself. But we knew, and like you said, it was like, okay, are you going to talk to somebody about this or not? Because you know what it is, you know how it's impacting your life, you know what is stopping, the things that is interrupting in your life. So it was very specific. But when you're going through life and you got a lot on you and you can't pinpoint it, but you having these feelings, or maybe,
See, that's the thing for me. That's the pinpoint. It's too much. It's
but
a lot. That's
but
the and I get that's the part that I'm failing to understand, and I don't mean to be ignorant, but it's like that's the pinpoint. You're bypassing that. It's like you don't realize that it's too much. Like, too much is too much, and
but
when
you
you're
can't say, okay, so when the term too much is subjective,
right, it's
because
relative to who it is.
exactly, so as a person you thinking, and not, we know that, and I'm always bad with sayings, but
Let's say
comparison,
some old lady shit.
no, it's like comparison is the tool of the devil, or something like that. Like,
I don't know what you
it's,
mean.
it's something, it's a saying like that, like
Okay.
comparison is the tool of the devil. What it's trying to say is you shouldn't compare yourself to somebody else, but as humans we do. So
Right.
let's just say, I'm a mom over here, I got 2 kids, I got a husband, I got a house, I got a job, he got a job, and we got a dog. This mom over there, she might got 3 kids, a husband, 2 dogs, 2 jobs, and you thinking, why am I having a hard, like, you kind, it's not even, I don't think it's even a conscious thought that you have, but you just think this is life, I'm just supposed to keep going. So when you say it's too much, it's normal. It's not like, no, I'm going to mention something else after this, because there are some times when it's
You're going
not
for a while
normal.
now.
You asked me a
Just be
question.
concise though. Go ahead.
It's normal stuff that you're going through.
Okay.
It's normal life. But being too much or being too heavy can look different for different people.
I know
And
that.
as we mentioned, it can be seasonal. So that's why sometimes it's hard to recognize, because you're thinking to yourself, I'm doing the normal stuff that I'm supposed to be doing every day. And it's hard to immediately recognize that it is too much for you, because you might see somebody like, she holding it down, she seem fine. And that's another thing too. Seeming fine is one thing. Nobody really knows what goes on behind doors.
It's a lot of variables that
It
that
is.
sound like you go into it. To be like
And
comparing
that's why
yourself to
mental
people,
health
caring
is,
what other people
yeah.
think. Like,
No,
that's
not about caring. It's not necessarily caring about what other people think.
But you just said if you don't if you saying she over there being the mom, why she cool, then I might as well, I can toughen up.
It's not,
when you feel something, or I don't want this lady to come in my house because what that might look like. It'll look like I'm not a good wife, or I can't clean my house. So yeah, you care what people what people think. You're just couching it different, but
well,
that's what
it
it
can
is.
be that, but it also can be how you feel about yourself too. That's what I was saying. You feel that superwoman, like you want to wear the badge of honor. So even if that woman don't even know that you watching her hold it down, you might feel for yourself, I gotta keep going. I can't break down, and I'm doing less than what she's doing, or I'm doing the same thing that she's doing, and it's breaking me down. So it's not about what somebody else think, but for yourself, you compare yourself to be like, let me keep. It's like, and you jogging in a race, so let me keep up. We running the same race, we the same height, we the same weight. How she all the way up there and I can't catch up? So it may not even be about that person. It's about yourself, where you feel that need to keep up, when you don't realize everybody's built differently. And sometimes you can't. In the next leg of the race, you might shoot past her and she might slow down a little bit, but it's not about her. That's why it's important to, I think the biggest part about mental health is self-care, to do self-checks. In addition to having people like we just did to check on your strong friends, check on those that you love, because sometimes doing a self-check, you lie to yourself. I'm all right. I'm cool. Ain't
Of
nothing
course, you're
going on.
biased, but that's why you should talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Like you, I firmly believe in self care and self check as far as mental health. You should check on yourself. You should do a check in the morning. You should ask yourself what's going on. Do you think at a rapid pace? Like all that kind of stuff is my experience. Like that I check on myself with. Is my anxiety high this week? Did I have a small episode? Like what's triggering me now? It like all those things play a part in my head, and I get that people go through shit. I go through shit. Um, I have anxiety. I've had bouts of depression, and I understand that people go through shit. I'm just speaking about when it starts to physically, it starts to physically impede on your life. Then it's like for me, what's wrong with me? Let me get fixed, and my pride goes out the window. I don't care what people think. I don't compare myself to any other man. I don't look at myself as weak. It's let's get my head right so I can get strong
Well,
again and
yeah, I'm
keep doing
sure
what
a
I'm
lot of
supposed to be
people do
doing.
that.
And I recognize when I'm doing too much. I recognize when life gets a little tough. It's like how when do people recognize that we're all not built the same? Like you just sitting here now, that's something that I'm learning hear you say, because I would just think that the majority of people know that we're all not built the same,
I
and
think
that
you're
you
being closed minded in saying that. Like, I mean, yeah, you know that when you say it, but in just going through life, it's not a matter of you really thinking like we're literally all the same. But you expect to be able to hold up your what you're supposed to do. I
in your lane, in your path, in your world, I agree with that. I'm just saying, in comparison to somebody else, she a mom over there, and she got two kids, and she doing what she doing. I got four, and I can't keep up. Like that kind of comparison for me is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about like the shit that goes on in your life, or I'm not trying to be um, closed-minded about it. I understand what you're saying. It's just the part of recognizing it when it physically bothers you that I don't get. Like if it physically bothers you, and you sleeping for 12 hours, or you depressed, or you having it's just bothering you, then obviously you're not yourself. And when you're not yourself, you should address that and not keep going, is all I'm saying. That's what I'm having a difficult time understanding, because I've been there and I know what it feels like to stall. And at that moment for me, I didn't think to keep going. I thought to
Well,
let's fix yourself.
I think when it does manifest in people physically, then they do take action. I think what I was more so speaking to is, yeah, it may not, result in you having a nervous breakdown, or it may not result in you having like, trying to hurt yourself. I'm talking about before it gets there, that you should recognize it and do something about it before it physically impacts you.
I
That's
agree.
when, right. So what you're saying, I mean, I would like to think that when it does
But
hit
who does that though? Is that's the whole conversation we're talking about. Nobody just does that. Just checks on their mental. Well, I'm not going to say
that, yeah, I
nobody.
think people do.
I'm not going to say nobody, but that's the whole conversation we having, is that people take on too much. So majority of it's not like majority of the people do check on their mental health. That's a big thing in society, mental health. So more people have mental health issues than not, I
Well,
would think.
I think the like you said, it's so many variables.
Antidepressants is $1 billion business, $1 trillion business. So a lot of people are, and I get
Well,
what you're
that's
about to.
them checking on themselves then, because if you're taking antidepressants, that means that you have taken the action that you're talking about to see a professional to take medication. So that's you checking, that's you taking action to say I need help. What I'm referring to is the people who maybe they haven't yet, it hasn't yet manifested in a way where there is some physical reaction to what you're going through. But that's when, prior to that point, is when we have to learn to do those checks on ourselves. Not when it's like we're in a sunken place, now to take action. When we start to feel those little changes is when, and it's hard because we kind of, like I started off saying in the beginning, you kind of just brush it off as normal. Oh, I'm feeling a little
And you
irritable.
said black women don't do that.
Because we look at it as normal. That's what I'm about to say. We look, oh, I'm just a little irritable today, or this week, or it's just PMS. Oh, I'm just stressed because of this, and then you don't realize, okay, that
Even when it's
stress
not
is
PMS.
lingering into a day, a week, or I got this headache, and you don't realize where it's coming from, or you start to detach, where you, like you said, where you're sleeping much longer than you used to, or you become less social
Excuse me.
than you used to. So those are things where you kind of attribute it to, oh, it's bad weather, so I just haven't been coming out. Instead of thinking like, is this something that's changing in my mental state? We look at those things and just accept them as being normal because we haven't really, we talked about this before too. It's a generational thing. We have not really been taught to do those self checks. Self care is like, being toxic, and self care is like the new
Throw around words.
yeah. I mean, and they both have their place in society, and they're both very relevant. But in terms of self care, it's something that we are, in a lot of cases, we have not been taught. So we're having to learn on our own. So having to learn how to take care of yourself is difficult, as in a
And you're speaking
physical
about black
sense.
people in general because
I'm speaking about black women, because
okay,
but I think you can probably attest that black men too. Because when you think about white people, I mean, they're known, and we've always kind of like made fun of it, but it's not a bad thing. They're known to go to therapy at 8. So yeah, I'm speaking primarily about black women. It's something that we are now having to learn and accept. And there's this group, like this organization called Therapy for Black Girls. The fact that we have to have something like that promotes mental health, that provides us with a resource to find mental health providers, gives us some tools and tips to use, some signs that we may ignore and not realize that, me being, miss angry all the time, like that ain't cute. Like maybe, that little maybe you got some anger issues that's really triggering from a different place, or you not finding a good man. Maybe it's stemming from something, just little things that, again, we've accepted in society as just being societal norms, but really they may be more deep rooted in other stuff that we don't acknowledge, and they build and they build and they build and they build and they build. And you know how I feel about medicine, so I'm not talking about medicine, but they keep building until we are ready to snap, or we find ourselves ostracized or isolated and nobody wants to be around us, or we just have bad attitudes, or we don't have any friends, or we are separated from our families, or we become physically ill because it manifests itself in other ways, instead of us recognizing those things at the beginning before they build and getting help. You know, One time somebody said therapy in peacetime is just as important as therapy in wartime. So even when your mind is in a good place, we still have things that we could talk about that
right.
would help us from going in a bad direction. So, but that's not something that, again, we've, laughed and teased about white people going to therapy just for therapy's sake, but that's not a bad thing.
Who said it was?
I'm not, I said we, meaning us as a black culture. I'm not saying you said
Oh,
it. Yeah, but as a black culture, we've laughed at that, but it's something that now we're having to teach ourselves how to do self-care. It's not something that is innate in us. So hopefully for the next generations, we can better prepare them so that they don't, suffer the same thing, where, that we're just in our 40s, recognizing, therapy is great.
I'm not trying to be like I'm different from everybody, but I think along different lines, and I didn't recognize that I needed therapy at 40. I knew that way early, and I never had an issue with with um I don't even know how to word it. I never had an issue with confronting my mental issues. So um, I just think differently. That's all. I hear what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, and I'm not trying to be disregard people's mental issues because I had mental issues. I have mental issues. I have anxiety, but um, I just feel like when it physically hits you, you should you should address that. You shouldn't think that you missed a strong black man. You shouldn't think that you miss a strong black woman. You should get help about it. You should try to fix yourself when it physically um, pr- presents itself in your life.
And I think you should do it before it physically presents itself.
Well, I'm speaking. I do too, but I'm just saying when it gets to that point, because you're saying we're not conditioned to feel that stuff, or you just put that stuff aside and say this is normal. So obviously, in most cases, it's going to get to that point because you're not noticing that something's wrong. You're not noticing that you're a little off, or you got too much on your plate. Um, yeah, I just think that if we notice that we're doing a little bit more, if we notice that what our day isn't the way we need it to be, we're breaking down, we're sleeping, we're doing odd things, then I just think we should do a self-care check, and I don't think you should be afraid to do that, or feel like as because you're a black woman or a black man that you can't do any self-care on yourself. You can't say like what's my mental, or have some pride. Like it's almost like you rather have your pride, and in the end you're still going to fold up. You're still going to break down with your pride along with it.
I don't feel like mental health is one of those areas where tough love. I think we have to approach people that we love with a softer touch and with lots and lots of empathy, because it's different for
But then you're
everybody.
talking about something different because you're talking about some people we love. Like
No,
that's
well, I mean, I'm talking.
obviously if it's somebody we love, then yeah, we should approach them differently. I'm speaking in general across the board about
Me
people that
too.
I don't know. Like everybody doesn't need coddling. So when you say your approach on tough love, you don't think that that's there. That's like saying nobody in the mental space, in the mental illness space, needs tough love. That's what you're just saying, and I totally disagree with that.
That's fine. We can agree to
Okay.
disagree. And I don't think I would say nobody. That's
So
like
then
I
we
don't.
don't disagree.
Well, I think that it's an area that should be, because as you said before, there's so many variables when it comes to it,
It's a
and I
sensitive
think it
subject, and
requires lots of empathy, more than it requires tough love. I think a lot, because in some cases you just, again, you just, things that impact, I mean, and this is something that I know, but things that impact one person one way may impact another person completely different, and it just requires a lot of understanding that a lot of people may not be able to, but it just requires a lot of love and empathy. What and when I say, and I'm talking about across the board in general too, like you said, like just for people in general, whether you hear about stuff on the news or whatever, like mental health is such a broad topic, and I think in all facets of life, everybody in their own little way deals with some things. Maybe it may be for a season regarding one specific issue. It may be for something that spans over your life. It may be because of a specific action that happened in your life. It may be, like in your situation, something that was able to be like, that was the root cause that lingered over years. So there's so many variables to it, but it's just.
approaching mental illness with love is obviously something you want to do for your loved ones and your friends that you care about, or anybody that you may encounter. But does love fix mental illness?
No, of course.
Okay, so I just wanted to be. That's what I thought you were saying. Like,
No, I
okay,
mean in
mental
terms
illness.
of support. I don't mean like
Yeah,
you need mental health
obviously. I was going to
professionals.
say, like,
Yeah.
you have something wrong, and
No.
love isn't going to fix that, is it?
No, of course you need mental health professionals. I'm talking about in terms of supporting those that
Right.
yeah. Or even not, even if it's not somebody that you physically support, like you just know about. Like, if you heard somebody about something that happened to somebody at your job, you may not be in a position or have a relationship to be, there's a part of their support system. But again, I just think it's one of those situations that love is needed from the non-professionals. That's all I'm saying. Just I know
No,
you approach a lot of things with a
because
tough love mentality.
because you're trying to push the narrative of all mental illness. You should approach it with love, and I'm not saying that you're not supposed to approach it with love with your friends and your loved ones. You're saying it in a way like love cures mental illness.
No, I'm not
and
saying
it doesn't.
that. I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I'm not
And
saying
it
that.
doesn't. And all people in the mental illness space does not need love. Some people need tough love. And we don't know which needs more or which needs less. We just agree that some people need tough love and some people need coddling.
I never said coddling. I said love.
Love. I just meant hug, not
I
like,
meant
why is
love.
coddling a bad thing? Why is
Because
that a negative contact? Like, that just mean like, I'm holding you, I'm
But coddling
coddling
kind
you.
of denotes for me like enabling. I don't know. Is that not what you're saying?
No,
Okay.
I would just say enable. I wouldn't say coddle.
All right. I think love and empathy. That's all.
Okay. So you should approach the situation with love and have empathy.
And encouragement to get help.
Right.
I'm not saying that solves it or that's the cure. No, I'm not saying that.
That's all you have to offer is love.
Exactly. Okay. I'm not a professional. Right. Yeah, that's all I can offer.
Just bubbly Tasha. That's all you can offer.
It don't have to be bubbly love. My love can.
When your love ain't got no bubbles.
My love can simmer.
All right. Everybody out there, anybody who has mental health issues, it's just a conversation that, two sides of the coin. We both think different. I know some people going to have something to say about what Tashi thinks. Some people going to have something to say about how I think. We both have mental issues, so it ain't like we not in that space. We deal with shit every day. We dealt with shit in our life. We just deal with it in different ways. She is more of a person that needs a rub on the back and some love and coddling. Is that okay?
Cuddling?
Coddling.
I don't like the word coddle.
Why?
It just gives me the vibe that you mean like enabling. But maybe I gotta look it up. I'll look up the definition when we're done to see if I like that word. Right now, I don't like that word.
I'm grown, so I'm gonna say coddle. And then I'm the type of person that probably needs a kick in the ass and, get your shit together, that type of thing. But I know everybody doesn't.
But it's weird because that's what you give, and I give You're saying that's the kind of love, that's the kind of motivation you may need, but that's not what I give you because that's just not me, and vice versa.
It's what I pull from you. You think you don't give it to me, but it's what I pull from you.
Really?
Yeah.
That's good. Okay.
So it doesn't matter on I still take what you give, but I know we've been together so long, I know how to get what I need out of you.
Okay.
Even without you giving it. So
that's good. That's good. Well, and I've taught you to have a softer touch in some ways because you definitely have been like, let's go. You've been sad for 2 days. Get up. Let's go. Get some air. Drink some water. Like eat some toast. Let's go. That's how you used to be. Not. Wait. Let me finish. But you have learned, and I think this is extremely important in helping anybody that. Sometimes it don't require you to say anything. It just requires you to be there. And that is saying a lot. Like, you just, whether it's me just laying on your lap and crying, me just sitting next to you and put my head on your shoulder, and you might not say a word, but we know the vibes and you there and that's all that I need. And that gives me the same motivation or actually no, because I resist to that. Let's go, let's get that. I don't do well with that, but you've learned that, so we both learn from each other.
Though, because it's what you don't understand is that it's hard sometimes if you love somebody and care about them to watch them be sad. So you may say, okay, it's a day. Yeah, I'll give him or her a day. It's okay. It's 2 days. When I come home today, it better be. Then you try to motivate them. That's where that comes from. It doesn't come from a sense of, get your ass up and do something. It comes from you're sitting here deteriorating. You're being sad. You're indulging in the way that you feel, and it's like, okay, if you keep doing that, you're going to get worse. So that's where that emotion comes from. It's again, it's having that tough love sense of, okay, how can I fix this? Can I fix this? If she keeps indulging like this in her emotions, then she's going to be miserable and sad and hurt in herself. I don't want to see her like that. So let me try to motivate her. Let me try to take her out. Let me try to do something. Let me try to walk in the park with her. Let me try to do something to say, okay, so it's not coming from a place of get your ass up and do something. It's more of, okay, babe, like, you can't just be sad. Like, you're going to get sadder. I don't want to see you sadder. Like, how sad do you want to get? Like, you know how bad this can get if you keep being like this?
I get it. I know it's from a place of love, but again, I've helped you to learn how to just soften up a little, and it's appreciated.
Okay.
It's appreciated.
Yeah. Before we go, we had some questions. Can't say
I'm
who they from.
excited.
So somebody wants to know, did God create us or did we create God?
God definitely created us.
Why?
The Bible says so.
Oh, Jesus.
That's all I got to believe in. I don't even give that much thought because I believe it. Now, I think that's a great question, though. That's really a great question when you think about it.
So why not elaborate? Why just be so dismissive like that?
Well,
What if the
I'm not
person
being...
that asked the question might want a little more out you than just, the Bible says that. Like, what if they ask the question so you can be a little bit more expansive? You can't do that?
I can be more expansive in saying I believe it's a great question because I do think that some people may feel that, it's kind of like if you believe in something enough, then you build you build that thing up, kind of like the gang mentality.
Mm-hmm.
You believe in somebody enough and you build them up as a leader, and you put them on this throne because you got enough people that's saying the same thing that you create this mindset. In theory, it's plausible. I can see why somebody would question it. Me, what drives my faith is the Bible. So that's why for me it's I can understand that thinking, but I believe the Bible. So
Is that so hard?
Well, it didn't ask us to give. It asked us asked the question and I answered it.
Was that so hard? Instead of 5 words, you said 28 words. Was that so hard?
Any other time you would tell me that I'm talking too much.
Jesus Christ, the sassiness.
So what's your answer?
It's I think about that, and I don't mean to be trivial, but it's like the chicken and the egg. It's like what came first.
You use this chicken and egg a lot, but I
believe in the Bible, and I believe in Jesus, and I believe in the story. But I have questions about it, like everybody else. So, yeah,
like a lot of people, not like everybody else.
Like a lot of people.
Okay. But that's a great question.
So yeah, it makes me think about it in that way. I would think that, you know what? I think God created us, but I want to think we created God because it just seems cooler.
It's a good story to tell. It ain't the story that I believe. I won't say right story. I don't want to.
You did say right story.
I corrected myself.
I believe that God created us, but I want to believe that we created him.
I'll admit it sounds cool, but it just
because it sounds so cool. Well, that's why I would want to believe that.
That sounds cool.
So we appreciate that question.
That was a great question.
Yeah, it was a great question, and I know who asked it. So good question.
I can't wait to find out.
Somebody else asked, after 19 years, do we still sext?
Sext like sex texting? Is that what that means?
Yeah.
We
do, right?
We do a little bit, but
we don't do it like every day or every time we want sex from each other, but
we talk nasty and face to face.
Yeah,
so
we can talk on FaceTime and stuff like that.
I give you some FaceTime shows sometimes.
But we do sex though.
A little bit. I might tell you. Well, you know what?
You keep your text thread, so I'm sure you can find some sexting in the text thread. She keep her text thread from fucking 5 years ago. It don't go away.
I have every text that you
just because that's how women are, and if you say something that you said that you didn't say,
I can go back.
She can go back.
March 31st, 2014.
And she could be like, this day we was mad at each other because look at this group of texts. So I know we was mad.
So the thing with sexting, and this is crazy because we're just gonna be completely transparent. We don't send nasty pictures and stuff like that. And
Because the shit go in the cloud. Nobody should.
He's like, don't be sending me the pictures. They're gonna go in the cloud. You don't know who gonna see the cloud. Don't your picture's gonna be out there. I'll see it in person. So we've never done that.
Somebody could put a head on your body and I would know it's your body.
So we've never, like, I won't say never. I had to do it once or twice before he was like, don't be sending me them pictures because they're going to go in the cloud. When now over the last year working from home, it's a little different because we all, we're here. Before, when I used to tell you, like, when I get home, had that ass naked, I'll be there.
And they used to come in and cook and ignore.
Oh, don't. Really?
Yeah, used to
the ottoman.
That just...
The ottoman.
What about the ottoman?
Don't play. Yeah, drink your water. Drink your water. Thank you for this week's episode.
No.
It's like, no. But so to answer that question, we never, we here and there, we never were big sexters because we get it in the real life. Who up top? At first I had to really listen. I thought you said sex. I'm about to say, who the hell's stopping?
Yeah,
but that's why I had the
sext.
Yeah, hear that sex. That T on the end.
But we do, to answer your question, we do. We just don't do it as often as you might, because you seem like you do it a lot. Because you said LOL and you was like, is it just us? So
yeah, we never really did it a lot, so we don't do it a lot now. But we do it here and there.
Yeah, but we do a lot more stuff on FaceTime than sexting.
Yeah. I make his lunch break,
Don't be sending no pictures, though, because the pictures go to the cloud, and then...
He thinks it's these men up there in the cloud collecting titty pics.
God is in the cloud.
Collecting pictures from people's phones?
No, he just up there. He just up there. He ain't collecting sex pictures.
So who's the Apple people in the cloud?
I don't know who up there in the cloud with them, but I know God up in the cloud.
Okay. That was good questions. I'm happy we got questions, though.
Keep asking questions. She trying to play me right now. I'm going to handle that when we get off. Keep asking questions. Keep subscribing. Keep, she throwing me off right now. Say what...
Thank you for all of your support. Like, comment, share. We really are working to do this thing, make his vision come true. I'm grateful to be a part of it because I got the job and I'm the co-host. So we thank you. We appreciate you. Communicate with us, share some feedback, join the conversation, comment, and we'll comment back, or he'll comment back. We like it.
I'll comment back and communicate with me. It's my show. I don't know what the fuck she talking about.
But thank you for watching episode 12. Looking forward to more to come. I am your gracious host, Natasha.
International Walk. If you fuck with us, you fuck with us. If you don't, you should. Peace.